this is going to last for 2.5 hours. You do realize that. And they only went bankrupt 4 times the first 10 years. It's a story of human beings who dare to dream.
Being here with the one and only founder of MB&F, Mr. Maximilian Büsser.
Thank you so much for giving us our time and allowing us here to meet you in boutique. Yeah, thank you. Can we start a bit about knowing MB&F first? How did it start? All right. Okay, so this is going to last for 2.5 hours. You do realize that. So it's 20 years, 20th anniversary of MB&F this year. This is a brand I created not as a company, not as a business, but as something I wanted to be proud of the last day of my life. So I've never seen it as a business. I wanted to create these incredible kinetic art pieces and share that passion with a team which had the same values as me, hence called Unfriends. And I thought that would make me proud. Yeah. As a creator, as a human being. And I was brought up by parents who always told me, tell people the way you want to be treated. And I probably didn't listen when I was a kid, And when you grow older, you realize how important that is. And that's the mantra at MB&F. So I funded this company with my little savings. And it only went bankrupt 4 times the first 10 years. It was horribly difficult. And it was never supposed to be easier. Never. Because all of us independent watchmakers who created our brands in the early 2000s, there were a few of us, it was all horribly difficult. And there was no light at the end of the tunnel. Being in the tunnel was the price to pay to be independent, to be free creatively. And we paid that price with pleasure. And then 2020, COVID arrives, and instead of killing us, it actually made that suddenly hundreds and thousands of people started coming to us say, how do I get one of your watches? You're like, what? Like for 16 years, I was traveling around the world trying to find somebody who would resonate on the same wavelength. And here we had hundreds of people going, how do I get one of your watches? And it was a real big moment, another big moment for me, because it was not expected. It was not sold for. And it was a moment of reflection. What do I do with this? And most people would have scaled, grown, whatever. And I think success is probably one of the most dangerous things for a creator. Because when you have success, you tend to take less risks. You don't need to. You're less creative. You don't need to. And you start treating people not as nicely as before. And I think in the watch industry, we've had a lot of that in the last 4 or 5 years. And for me, it was, let's be more creative. Let's take more risks. And let's be even kinder than what we were before, because now it's even easier to be kinder. And so we decided not to grow the company and instead to give more of our time and be more creative and more crazy. So now we're at 20th anniversary. I am at a moment of my life of the company which I never dreamt of. And it's extraordinary. I'm so grateful. I'm surrounded with an extraordinary team. And we're capable of doing things which I hadn't even imagined. And that when I started MB&F, I only had one drawing in mind, the HM1. Where 23 calibers later, all of those happened afterwards. And so MB&F is a human journey. It's a creative journey. It's a story of human beings who dare to dream. Again, sorry, long answer for a short question. That's where we are today.
We are enjoying that.
No, thank you.
So for many collectors, MB&F wasn't just a brand. It's a creative hub, and it was a place where people can see different sort of creations. What inspires you to create such a success? Where collectors not only enjoy wearing them, but even regular watch lovers, they enjoy seeing it.
I should. Actually, you remember the slogan of Nokia, which used to be connecting people? I think the slogan of MB&F could today be connecting people.
So I think that should be the 21st century slogan.
Maybe that's connecting people. And it wasn't, so it's very interesting because the whole point was, I worship horology. Horology is my life. It's been 34 years I've been creating watches. It saved my life. It gave me a meaning, gave me a family. At MB&F, we took that extra step of being creatively free. And when you create for yourself, your adrenaline comes, at least for me, comes from taking risks. If I iterate on the same product, I don't feel happy, I feel dead. If I go where I didn't dare go before, I feel alive. And that's been the mantra. These incredible horological machines, legacy machines, our special projects, that's been about taking risks. What's happened is that the people who resonated on the same wavelength, who had the courage and the means to buy one of our pieces, started discovering that they were meeting other people who had the same values, same thought process. And when you wear an MB&F, you will have, or even a Mad Edition, you will have people coming up to you and say, excuse me, what is that? Not because it looks expensive or precious. No, because they're intrigued. And if they have the courage to come to you, maybe there's something interesting in discovering that person. And so suddenly the purpose of MB&F, which was to create these extraordinary machines, has become two things. One is connecting people, and the second is inspiring people to find their true north. Because everything we've done in these last 20 years is wrong. If you go and do an MBA at Harvard, they will tell you, do not do anything what MB&F has done because it's doomed for failure. And we've done it, not because we're contrarians, not because we're completely idiots, but because we felt it was right. We always did something which had felt right, even though nobody had ever done it. And so I'm getting messages today from people all over the world who write to me on social media saying, I will never be able to afford one of your pieces, but thank you. Oh, wow. Okay. Why? Because I've seen your YouTube videos. I've seen what you've done. I've seen how you work, your values. And now I've finally got the courage. I've got goosebumps. I've got the courage to create my own company. And wow. We're inspiring people to do something they didn't dare do, but deep down in themselves, they knew they wanted to do. And now, at the soon 59 years old, in a few months, I realized that our purpose is so much larger than what it was initially.
Man. So when you started in Watchmaking, you have refined how mechanical art can he perceive. When you design your pieces, does it begin with the mechanical idea, or it's an emotion?
So I'm very schizophrenic, and it's in my case a good thing. So horological machines start always with a concept. I used to make model airplanes, HM4 Thunderbolt. I used to dream of being Luke Skywalker, HM6 Space Pirate. I am passionate about postmodernism architecture of the 60s because it was completely crazy. The Architect. So they're ideas of what I love, which are not horological treated, and we create it into a sculpture which is based on horology. So that's a bit like my psychotherapy. Legacy machines are much more intellectual. We know we're going to have a flying balance wheel, but apart from that, we would dream that our forefathers, those who created modern watchmaking, which is the 19th century watchmakers from 1800 to 1900, that if they saw what we've done, they would say, I'm proud of you. You have taken what we've done and you brought it to another dimension. So it can be with a Stephen McDonnell invented perpetual calendar, a sequential chronograph, but it can be with many other things. And so for us, there's one way of being completely humane and one which is completely tribute to great watchmakers. And then, of course, there are all the other objects we create, from clocks to pencil sharpeners and other things, which are basically creating what I would like to have. I basically, everything you see is something I would like to wear or I would like to have. And my wife would let me have 15 clocks at home. So I create them. That's enough happiness, and other people can own them.
How often? So you also see MB&F not a brand.
Yeah.
But you connect to your friends. How does an idea share what MB&F has become?
The fundamentals haven't changed in 20 years. What I told you, the reason I created the brand is still very strongly there. I think what has changed is my perception of it, meaning I didn't realize that the journey is more important than the pieces. I think when you're younger, you fix yourself objectives, and getting to that objective is you put all your energy in. And years later, you realize that there were people who accompanied you on that trajectory, that story, and that was way more important. And you realize that at the end of the day, when I'm dead, these watches will still be there. But for me, my memories before I pass away will be the stories of working with all these people. They're more important than the watches themselves. But it took me 20 years to understand that.
This is a question that I have, which is, say before every release, you feeling like there is a question that's going to come out from a collector or something. Even what strategy? What did you just do? Was there something that you feel like did I get that question from people before releasing a new work?
I'll change the narrative here. When I started MB&F, and it was so rough and tough to find anybody who was interested, what terrified me was, are we going to find a client? And even though I would never think about that when I created the pieces, I would never let myself be scared of that, because otherwise you create committee design products which are boring. So they were extreme because I wasn't scared, but then I was scared that I had to find somebody. Now, 20 years later, what scares me is to disappoint all the people who are proud of what we do. The tribe, the MB&F owners, but also the fans. And that is, it's a difficult pressure to live with. But it's also what keeps me on track to always push further. I anyway naturally push further. But then and sometimes we talk about new ideas with the team, and the team is like, no, it's not crazy enough. It's not extreme enough. We can do better than that. And I love it because it doesn't come from me anymore. Right. It comes from them. They're the guys going, Max. So I've started a whole process where every one of our ideas between the other Max and myself, I defend them to my team. So I present them to my team first and say, hey guys, I've got this idea. And if they're like, wow, this is amazing, or sometimes they're like, and they never err because they don't like it. They err because it's not extreme enough. They're the ones that are keeping me in check. And I think if it passes their filter, it pretty much amazes most persons in the world.
So there's one thing that I need to really want to ask you, that what lessons would you give to people who actually know about it, man, but doesn't know about it much, and like to explore more about it? Well, what is your message?
Well, thank you already. I think luckily for me, and that's what also gives me faith that this brand will survive me, there's a thing called YouTube. And so before, you would have to go and read print magazines. You had to find them. You couldn't find them. Then luckily the print was on the internet. And now there are interviews like what you're doing now, and there are a certain amount up there. And go and check them out. But don't only check out what I say or we say about our brand. Go and check out what other people say. With, of course, a pinch of salt, because there'll always be people who hate it and people who love it, especially our brand. It's very polarizing. But like in everything in your life, it's a very Gen X sort of way of seeing the world. What we did, we would listen to argument A, argument B, and argument C, and make up our mind. You just don't listen to argument A and immediately go, oh yeah, I want to do that. It's about having critical thinking, and that's what should define your watchmaking collecting journey. A watchmaking collecting journey is about the journey of you discovering, loving, changing. There will be a moment you look back and say, oh, I bought that watch 10 years ago. Oh my God, why did I do that? But it's necessary that you buy that watch 10 years ago, because otherwise you would not be where you are now. And where you think you are now, you are at the apex. Maybe in 10 years you look back and go, oh dude, I shouldn't have bought that watch. But that's part of this journey, like life. That's how it works. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate it. A great pleasure. I hope I didn't bore everybody with my really long answers. Okay, so much. I hope my viewers will enjoy it. With that is connected. Thank you very much.